interesting point is, and of all people, it was made by Harry Knowles, who
the clown prince of film geekery.
But he makes a great point that
after Nero's attack,
it kind of
he's kind of Osama bin Laden Starfleet.
It kind of like jumpstart like all this stuff that would have happened organically, like that happened organically in the Prime universe,
right?
Kind of gets done as quickly as possible. You know, they search out, you know, secretly,
right?
You know, into the reaches of space rather than, you know, be like, oh, well, let's how about a 5-year mission? Let's do that.
That's how they find the Botany Bay before the Enterprise would find it, and why they also have such an advanced secret forces division for a peacekeeping armada to have like the equivalent of like black ops.
Yeah.
And basically trying to engineer a war with the Klingons. You know, they're basically at Bush administration like code orange at this point, I guess, which changes the entire tone of this universe. But I feel like this movie was about them trying to sort of deal with that and then move back towards this hopefulness.
Like, this is what we intended, this is what it's supposed to be.
Right. Well, Kirk's whole speech at the end after they save Earth from Khan and all that. So I feel like we're jumping all over the map, but what the hell? It's just a discussion, right? Zoe Saldana? Is it Saldana? Danya?
Donna? I don't know.
Donna? She has some great moments, especially when they go to the Klingon homeworld and she actually gets to face down the Klingons, and she does a very good Klingon. She sounds very convincing, at least to my untrained ear.
Yeah, that was a dope scene.
That whole sequence where Kirk, Spock, and Uhura take the little hamburger ship down to Kronos.
Yeah, Kronos.
I've seen it spelled Quonos as well. Like in the Prime universe, like when Devin Faraci in his review, that was how he spelled it.
It was like QU, like
yeah. So
I think that's how it's pronounced.
So that's how the Klingons pronounce it versus how Starfleet would pronounce it.
Well, I think the QU and all, I think it's still pronounced Kronos.
Oh, okay. Because I think on the title it had the K when you see the super titles over the. I don't know. I'm going to see it again on Sunday. I'll let you know.
Let me know.
But I thought that whole sequence was a lot of fun. I mean, there's a Klingon invasion. Like, we actually get to see the Klingons in this universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we see one, and the rest are in masks.
They're in pretty badass looking masks.
Yeah, they are.
And then one of them takes it off, and he's got like the ridges, and he's got them all pierced.
Yeah,
I mean that dude looks like a badass.
Yeah, he's seen 40 miles of bad road. That guy.
Khan.
Yeah, so Benedict Cumberbatch is Khan.
I
don't know.
I mean...
It's not Khan. Like, he has none of the swagger. I mean, he's got swagger, but he's not charming. He's not... He doesn't have the same... Like, Khan has an almost regal bearing to him. Mm-hmm. And although Cumberbatch has gravity to him, in this movie, he never really... Because Khan outthinks and outcharms Kirk. Like, they have him to dinner, they do all these things.
Like, Ricardo Montalban, Khan, at least in Spacey, I mean, by the time Wrath of Khan 2 comes out, you're just like, this guy's out for blood.
Yeah.
Like, there's no time for, pleasantries.
And dinners.
But in Spacey, you just get, like, he's a smooth motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe him. And in this one, he's just a badass.
He's a badass who with a vendetta, and he's a terrorist.
Maybe his time for pleasantries is gone.
Perhaps. Well, he wants his crew, but does he want? I guess I never felt like his need for the crew. Does he just want them because he needs his Supermen so he can continue his mission? Like, I don't think they are. Like, he gives a lie about like, oh, he held my crew hostage. Well, I guess that's not a lie because Peter Weller's.
But I mean, does he consider them his family?
Right. Why does he want them so badly? If he's the only Superman, there's no one to threaten him, and as long as he can outthink everybody else, then he can still rule the universe.
Or maybe they are his homies.
Well, you know, I mean, you get the impression in Spacey that he cares about his crew, and you know, in Wrath of Khan, I mean, he's been taking care of them on City Alpha 4.
4, yeah.
They think it's 5.
Yeah, because
5 actually
blew up.
Boom. And It's not Khan. This feeds into my theory. I don't know if we
well,
talked about
it's not
this
the Khan that we know.
Right. It's a completely different character, which feeds into a theory I don't know if we talked about on the show. I don't think this is and I don't think Abrams and company would vouch for this, but this is how I make sense of it. It's not an alternate timeline, it's an alternate universe. It's like if you're talking Marvel Comics terms, this is ultimate Star Trek. Sort of, like you said, streamlined, simplified, made a little sexier and user-friendly.
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, this would be like an alternate universe, much like from in Mirror, like, you know.
Right, except instead of just having beards and midriffs.
I mean, instead of it being like a Nazi universe.
Right. That way you can explain the Enterprise possibly being built on Earth. I'm not sure. I don't think they ever say, by the way, Rob was asking, I don't think they ever say on the original series where it was built. I think that's all extraneous stuff from supplemental books.
That might or might not be canon.
Yeah. But how the Enterprise, for example, could withstand the pressure of deep sea...
well, it withstands the pressure of deep space.
Right. And it doesn't really make sense that the Enterprise is underwater when they could have just stayed in orbit and sent shuttles down to do all this stuff, but who cares? Because it's so much fun. And it looks amazing coming out of the water.
Apparently, those aliens at the beginning, with the dandruff and the bug eyes,
so creepy.
It's the same dude. It's one dude.
Really?
I think I read that. It's the same dude, you know.
Just digitally multiplied?
Yeah, multiplicity.
That's kind of interesting.
I think.
Is that cheaper than just dressing up a bunch of dudes in white makeup?
Maybe. Well, it might be cheaper because that's one salary you have to pay.
That's true, but I'm just thinking of the effects team that would have to build an army of cum dude of 1960s Iceman. Comic Jack Kirby reference for you guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm the only one who'll get that probably.
I don't know. Like I think comparing it to Wrath of Khan, making that's not Khan. That's
they invite that comparison. Though.
They absolutely and it's not fair, but at the same time, like it leans so heavily on Wrath of Khan.
Right, the movie with Khan as a villain is almost a non-entity in this movie without your foreknowledge of those two other appearances.
I mean, like they literally have Leonard Nimoy come up on screen and be like, "Oh, Khan, yeah, that's one badass motherfucker.
It's true.
You need to watch out for him."
Devin Faraci, one of my most/least favorite writers on the internet, brought that up. That's
a very good point.
That's old Spock. New Spock calls old Spock to.
Which it makes sense that he would.
Right,
I mean,
because he's trying to figure out if he can trust this guy.
I mean, it's logical that he would call him up on the old Skype and be like, "Hey, me, kinda. Do you know a dude named Khan?"
Right. This seems kind of important. And Spock has that great bit about, like, I vowed not to tell you your future because I saw Back to the Future, and,
That can really fuck shit up.
Exactly.
But
you need to you need to put this shit on lockdown. You're not supposed to have met this guy yet, if my math is correct.
And that's another thing, Kirk meets him before he's even graduated from Starfleet.
Technically. Because he was given the captaincy, but then he's knocked back down to...
First officer.
Right. Well,
but I get the impression
he was sent back to the academy after he was knocked down, but then Pike got him back on the first officer duty because he hadn't finished his schooling whenever the whole Vulcan situation happened.
Yeah.
He was on academic probation. He wasn't even supposed to be in space, but McCoy gave him fat hands to get him on board. Numb tongue.
Oh my God, what's wrong with your hands?
So it's
she has some great lines. Like that line is great, and in the Kobayashi Maru,
her dead voice,
her delivery when she's explaining the situation to Kirk.
She also had some great, she and Spock aren't getting along in this one. And one thing I did like was that they didn't turn it into a love triangle because I was kind of afraid that's where they were going to head with it. That they were
Kirk's
like,
oh well,
Exactly. Well, he obviously had a crush on her in the first movie because he hits on her. He's happy to see her in her underwear. He flirts with her, and she, trying to get her name and all that. And but they don't go there.
But he's too busy banging kitty women to.
That's right. He has
to the Beastie Boys.
Kitty women. Listen
to some Khajiits. Well, it's a Fatboy Slim remix
of the
the Beastie Boys song. But
Okay,
yeah, he's having a three-way with two Khajiits.
That's right. For Skyrim.
It's an Elder Scrolls.
Tamriel.
That's an Elder Scrolls reference for you RPG nerds out there.
Are you excited about Elder Scrolls Online? Are you going to play it?
Probably not.
I'm thinking I might try
I don't
it.
know,
I'll wait
man.
till it goes free to play, and then I'll hop on board.
I
don't give a shit.
I mean, that was my whole jam with Elder Scrolls. Like, I could do whatever the fuck I want to do. I'm not
all
beholden,
by myself.
I'm not beholden to anyone. And well, it would be dope to play with a friend every once in a while. Like, that's not the only way I want to play.
Right. Sometimes I want to play at 3 a.m. by myself.
And I mean, I guess you could do that online too,
but you're crowded and you've got a chat box running.
And
in
you're
the
gonna see all these motherfuckers running around
acting silly, teabagging each other.
How's that gonna work? I don't know.
It'll probably take a lot of the majesty out of the world to have a bunch of goofballs in it. People like us ruin it.
Not me. Maybe you.
I don't know. I'd give in to peer pressure.
Let's talk about some of the quote unquote plot holes. I
didn't see too many. What do you?
Well, I mean, not so much. I guess not so much plot hole, but they talk about Khan's blood. It's magical.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody complained about that.
It's magic blood.
Bones uses it to resurrect a dead Tribble at one point. Which seems like a bad idea because Tribbles are born pregnant.
No, yeah, exactly. Like when they're like, "What are you doing with that Tribble?" And they're like, "Oh, he's dead." And I'm like, "Good. Like, keep it dead. You don't want freaking 50 million more on your ship." Right.
Well, in this universe, Tribbles don't seem to be as big a problem because even in Star Trek 2009, Scotty's got a few as pets in a cage in his dank underground space Hoth prison.
Which again, maybe that feeds into your theory that it is an alternate universe with slightly different roles.
Well, here's another thing. They recently released a Star Trek video game. It's got Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto doing their voices, and it has to deal with the Gorn, and the Gorn are completely. I mean, it's still, you can tell it's a Gorn, but it looks completely different. They, instead of hissing, they roar now. They've got things like that, like little things.
It's a lizard person.
Exactly.
Like, why doesn't it hiss?
Yeah, well, the original Gorn hissed.
Yeah.
So, like, just things like that.
We're talking about the arena Gorn, right? The lizard man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like. It roars? Like the lizard man roars?
I think it roars, yeah. Right. And I remember Devin Faraci complaining about it, and that was whenever I think I started thinking about, because otherwise everything should be exactly the same, and clearly it's not. The uniforms are different, the bridge is different. It's not even a faithful recreation of those things. It's a total redesign based on the core concepts.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a different timeline, everything up until Nero showing up and blowing the
Vulcan blowing the
Constitution,
Kelvin.
The Kelvin, out of the sky, it should have been the exact same. At that, it's a singular line, and at that point, it diverges.
But we know that it's not that. It's clearly not that, or there's a bunch of lazy design work going on, or not even lazy. It's just like they do whatever they want, and I'm okay with do whatever they want as long as it's alternate universe.
It makes more sense as far as in a scientific sense than why would going through a black hole affect the timeline
right.
I mean, why didn't it just affect the prime timeline?
Right. Yeah. Why
did it split it off into a new branch?
But magic blood and Tribbles.
Yeah, magic blood and Tribbles. We get a first taste of it when Mickey from Doctor Who.
Yes, that's right. I was trying to think of the character's name because I saw him and I was like, oh,
Mickey!
I'm not sitting next to Sergio. I can't say anything. Becca sat between us to keep us behaved.
From nerding out too much.
She's like.
Yeah, pretty much.
To keep our hands off each other, she says.
His daughter is sick, and there's nothing. I mean, it's implied that there's nothing that the doctors can do for her.
Right.
And John Harrison rolls up, and he's like, "I can save her," and in his awesome voice.
And Mickey's like, "Who are you then?"
Hey, "Hey, who are you then?
Are you that Sherlock then?
Hey, are you Smog?" And he's like, "Yes. Do you want to save your daughter or not?" And so you see him like take his blood.